Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by OrthoCarolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. OrthoCarolina, you improve.
Hey, fellows. It's the first night of another season.
Nerds roll. Nerds roll.
My glasses are broken.
And this will begin season 2 of Nerd Skool.
Welcome back to season 2, Nerd High. Glad to have you.
It's gonna be crazy stunts. We're gonna there's gonna be stunts.
Joe's
and
gonna
fireworks.
bring more penis jokes.
There's a lot of penis stuff.
I am a super nerd.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy,
Star Spangled Band with a plan.
Maybe I'll try to do a cartwheel.
TBJ,
Welcome. Congratulations. You did dirt. Ta-da. I ain't got no shame. All my exes can tune in. We can have an episode where I compare them to all the Marvel villains. We can do that.
Artstar,
I don't love Wiener.
I'm just trying to make money.
Lord Artemis Prime rises.
Yeah, my real name is Joe.
Did I ever tell you about the time I hung out with DMC at Mertz?
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Nerd Skool Podcast. Arthur Lovely is here to lead us through the Fantastic Four.
Am I leading?
Artstar, I mean, sorry.
Artemis Prime, if you're leading.
It was your choice.
Right. Lord Artemis Prime.
No.
Let's not.
Primes aren't lords, they're primes.
He's the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MC, you call Artstar.
Yeah, this was your suggestion, right?
Right, this is my awesome.
The movie we're doing. The sequel to Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I like this movie. I don't know why. Like, after watching it again, I put it above the reboot of this movie for some reason.
Oh, everyone does. No one in the world liked that reboot.
I was about to say.
Even the creator didn't like it because there was, meddling from the company or something. Josh Trank, I think his name was. He did that movie Chronicle that I never saw, that people were like, oh, this is a cool comic booky movie.
Oh, I saw that movie, but I can't remember anything about that shit. Because I think it was like really, it was a movie, but it was like, what's that movie? It was like really short, I think. Like, felt like almost a little bit over an hour, and it seemed like it had no plot. It just played.
I don't know. I'll take your word for it, but I'm pretty sure like the strength and cult following of that thing is why he was hired to direct Fantastic Four. And then, of course, he did the opposite of what a Fantastic Four movie should be and make this sort of dark body horror thing out of them, which, I guess you can do, but that's, if you're trying to establish that's more like a what if thing as opposed to here's what the Fantastic Four is actually all about, which these movies, these movies from the aughts are closer to. I watched both of them just because I hadn't watched them in a long time. I watched the first one and I went, you know what, this is more fun than I remember. This is I think it sounds like I'm leading instead of you, Art, but I'm just going into it.
Like just watching, like I didn't watch the first one, so I just watched the second one. I watched it a couple of times, and then I watched it like right when you started watching it last night. I had just finished it because like I started it before I went to work. And when I came in, I watched the rest of it. But it was one of those things where it's like, you know how we talk about like on Howard the Duck, how I was saying like back in the day, if I was watching that movie, I'm like, oh, this movie was awesome, just because, seeing like whatever. This one, like when I first watched it, the thing I loved about it so much was they had the whole, like, every time he kept saying, oh, that, was at an end, just like the way he delivered it, and it made it seem like super impending doom was coming. And then, like, I used to have this girl I used to work with, I used to always pick with it, like we'd be like working, and then like in our ear I'd say that, and it would like freak her out. But like that was the only thing I held on from this movie. But like watching it again now, and especially still having the bad taste of, the other Fantastic Four in my mouth, I was like, man, this movie for what it is and what it was at that time was not that bad of a movie. Even Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, like I did see Captain America in him every time he made like certain facial expressions or made certain gestures or whatever. But I was like, this movie is not that bad. You got even him doing, I guess, to me, it felt like an homage to the Super Skrull when he, he had like all of their powers fighting Doom and shit. I was like,
that's
man, how did I forget this?
Yeah, I didn't even remember that until the watch on the end of it last night was just, holy crap, he's got all the power of the Fantastic Four. That's freaking Super Skrull. Without the Skrulls, all the whole Skrull thing, which is, that thing is coming eventually because now we got Skrulls in the MCU, so eventually you got to have the Super Skrull.
And even before the whole Kevin Feige Marvel takeover, I don't know if they take over, but let's just make Marvel great kind of thing. Yeah. Just like the whole, like, you don't necessarily see Galactus, but then you see like the shadow of his helmet. First thing I said, like, I know Andy is excited. Andy was probably excited about this shit because you see helmet action, like a little. And
that's it. That's it, though. That's all you get of actual regular Galactus. But it's at the time, they did not have the balls to make Galactus a giant purple guy with a huge Pope hat. Like you couldn't make a movie at the time where the big bad at the end is a giant purple guy just standing there with a huge helmet bigger than his whole head and most of his torso. But that you couldn't do. I mean, I think Kevin Feige could find a way to do that now. Mm-hmm. But
then it's also Kevin Feige. He's like I don't know. I just kept feeling like homage on top of homage kind of thing. Like even though they didn't show Galactus, they had like the shadow thing. Like in the very beginning, we would kind of see somewhat glimpses of Thanos. Like you may see like a quick head render, and then like, okay, he was kind of coming kind of thing. Whereas like with we got that whole, like I said, the Galactus shadow, and like, oh, this dude's coming kind of thing. Like, and then at the end, I'm jumping around, but like then at the end, how like Silver Surfer, like the end credits, the mid credit scene and shit. I'm like, man, like even though it wasn't Kevin Feige led Marvel, it was like Marvel already have been doing like this whole like, let's give them something to think about for the next time kind of thing,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were. I'm sure they wanted a Fantastic Four 3, and at least to get to a Fantastic Four 4. I wonder how they would name a fourth Fantastic Four movie. 4 Fantastic Four 4 or something like that.
Or did you be like the 4?
Yeah. But
4. Just 4.
Yeah, it would probably just be called 4. But the Galactus in this movie is based on the Ultimate Universe Galactus, which was basically reimagined as kind of just like a cloud of weird robotic insects that just swarmed over a planet and ate it like that, as opposed to the regular 616 Galactus, who is the tall, giant purple guy with a hat who has all these machines he hooks up to a planet and then sucks all its energy and kills all life on the planet and then sends his herald, in this case Silver Surfer, although there's been a whole bunch of heralds of Galactus. Go find me another planet. I'm going to eat this one. Tell me when you find the next one that I can eat, and I'll come there and eat that. And that's my whole thing, is galactic destruction, the devourer of worlds. And at some point, he is going to show up in the MCU, and I don't know how or why. Or, well, I know why. He's Galactus, but I'm very curious to see what they would do eventually. But that's not for probably a decade or so before we get Galactus. Right. But overall, these movies, as far as the Fantastic Four, the core Fantastic Four, and we're recording this like a day after the 60th anniversary of the first issue of Fantastic Four came out.
Yep.
And a day after that announced the HasLab Galactus and the new Fantastic Four figures that are, I guess, going to go kind of side by side with it.
If they're charging $400 for a figure of Galactus, even if it's 32 inches tall, it better come with the Fantastic Four or the Silver Surfer.
From what I understand, once they get to certain backer levels, they're gonna get they might release heralds of his so you can, I guess, interact with the figure.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of weirdo heralds of Galactus that I don't know a whole lot about. There's like the Silver Surfer, and his famous thing is that he's like the one herald that quit being the herald. There's Nova, who was an ex-girlfriend of Johnny Storm, I think, Frankie Ray. There was Airwalker, Morg, Redshift, Stardust. There's a whole bunch of weirdos that why not? If you're going to charge $400 for a big Galactus figure, make all those other weirdos too, because no one's going to buy them individually, but the nerds who spend $400 on a 32-inch Galactus figure would like to.
With 70 points of articulation.
Does the hat come off?
I don't know. That would be cool.
For $400, it better vibrate and have a dildo on
it. Tell us what you're really into, Joe.
You know, the shape of the helmet's like one of those bunny rabbit things, right?
No, let's not go down this list. Let's not.
Okay. But what do you guys think of it?
I thought it was good. I had dialed it so far back in my head that I'd forgotten the cast other than Chris. I was like, oh wait. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but it was cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how you come away from it, is just
that's all I can really say.
Yeah, I mean, the things it did right were like the trying to do the family dynamics of the Fantastic Four. It had a really good Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm rivalry. That's very much comics there.
I forget that Kerry Washington was involved with these movies, and I loved her. I always whatever she does, so that made me happy. But yeah,
you didn't like Vic Mackey?
I had no other
Mr. Michael Chiklis.
Yeah, I totally.
I have no feelings on Chiklis.
What about? Are you one of those? Do you like Julian McMahon?
No.
McMahon? Is it Julian?
Julian McMahon is the main reason I think these movies didn't stick, because it's amazing watching this one how right they got the look of Doctor Doom, but how shittily they got every other aspect of Doctor Doom. Like he looked like, wow, that is a good Doom outfit. That's a Doom costume. That looks like Doctor Doom, and it's imposing and cool. And then he talks. He's like, "Hello, Freed. How are you?"
Very snivelly and
I hate you. I hate all of you. Let's go for a spin. It's like Doctor Doom is not that guy.
Right.
It's and he's not a douchebag CEO, which is what he was in the first movie, and then he got zapped by the cosmic rays and turned into a weird robot Electro Man. But
so when we were talking about when you're talking about Kerry Washington, is that a character in the comics? Her character, it's a blonde or blind gal that's in love with Thing.
Yes, and she's her whole deal is she's kind of like a sculptor, so there's an extra little layer of she works with clay all the time, so a living rock man was kind of it sort of is a interesting thing. And of course you needed a blind person to look past how ugly the Thing is and to get to his heart and soul. But she is also, her father is one of the Fantastic Four's enemies, called the Puppet Master, who has some kind of radioactive voodoo clay where if he makes a puppet of you, he can somehow control you by controlling the puppet he has. I don't
gotta learn radioactivity in comics.
Yeah, radioactivity in especially 60s comics during the Cold War. That could do anything. It could turn you into anything. It's how Daredevil got his sight or his radar sense. It's how the Hulk happened.
And then you have like shows like Family Guy that takes and makes fun of it, like have them crash into a truck. Family Guy does it. And I think The Simpsons does a thing where like radiation morphs. I think fish and shit like that. So
they have Simpsons superhero Radioactive Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a chance that the Lionel Richie "Hello" video is based on the Thing, his relationship.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that's where they took it from. They took that idea from. They're like, let's do the whole sculpting of the head, and they're like, that's the Thing. Cool.
Yeah, Lionel Richie was originally cast to play the Thing, and then
right.
They decided, wait a minute, this is a really dumb thing. Let's do something else.
And instead of saying clobber time, he would just say hello every time he was ready to fight.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? I like that. But the Doom is a problem. Galactus is a problem. Andre Braugher, Captain Holt, I was happy to see him. I was like, oh, hey, Captain Holt, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes. It was Captain Holt. I love it. Yeah.
I was very excited. I completely forgot he was in it. But
his death was kind of brutal.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the Silver Surfer is pretty good. Like, they nailed his look. They did some cool stuff with him, cool tricks with them melting through his board and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's real creepy, kind of.
Which was good. It would be creepy if some weird silver dude in a surfboard showed up to kill your planet.
Yeah,
and
I felt like this movie was almost MCU good, but I felt the writing was a little bit, I don't know, Hallmarkish. No offense, TBJ. Like, it's a little relationship heavy. I don't know.
Well, that's character heavy, but
yeah.
Well, that girl who plays Invisible Girl,
don't hate on Hallmark.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what she used to be on, but wasn't she on some like romance show? Like
Jessica Alba?
What, Joe?
He just acted about Jessica Alba not too long ago.
I know she's married to Justin Timberlake.
No,
I don't remember what she's
wrong.
From. Like I remember
wrong, Jessica.
No,
wrong.
Jessica Alba. You might have seen her in the Fantastic Four movies. You might have seen her in there was a James Cameron television show called Dark Angel, where she was in I think her breakthrough role was a movie where it was like a horror movie where a guy's hand came to life, Idle Hands, something like that.
Idle Hands.
And it was like a horror comedy kind of thing.
I feel like you just asked about Jessica Alba not too long ago.
Yeah, I think you did. Like, oh, she's hot. Something like that.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't think I know who she is. I don't know if there's Jessica Alba and Jessica, whoever the other one is.
Jessica Biel.
I mean,
apparently you know.
I know her from something, but I guess romantic comedies or something. Like I'm expecting.
She was in a comedy with Dane Cook called like Good Luck Chuck.
That guy sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole deal was he, like, anyone who dated him immediately found the love of their life that wasn't him.
He was a wingman.
Like it was like almost a magical curse or something where like everyone was trying to date him and bang him, and then immediately afterwards they would meet the one they actually wanted to be with forever, and then he was like, but I'm lonely, or something like that. That was the shtick.
Who doesn't love a good rom-com?
Yeah, and like he was actually in love with Jessica Alba's character, but Jessica Alba was like all about it. But so the hilarious thing was, we don't really need to be going into the Good Luck Chuck this much on the Nerd School podcast.
This is what we should have chose Good Luck Chuck.
Yeah, like he was like, I'm in love with Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba's trying to get with me just to meet someone else, so I can't get with her even though I want to. Hilarious comedy jokes.
I say we do a series on the movies of Dane Cook.
I say we do not.
Then what's that one he did with Steve Carell? It was kind of serious.
I don't know. TBJ, we can't hear you.
We're losing TBJ again. But, I did wish, I was thinking, I saw some article today where they talked about the failure Marvel movies from the 70s, that wasn't there a Fantastic Four from the 70s?
There was one from the 90s made by Roger Corman, who is renowned for producing really schlocky horror movies and campy sci-fi stuff, like the original Little Shop of Horrors with Jack Nicholson.
The guy from Carol Burnett?
That's Harvey Korman.
No.
Roger Corman is a legendary director. He's directed hundreds, thousands of movies, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of movies, but they're all like really cheap, low budget, fun thing. But he also is the reason Jack Nicholson got his start as like the weirdo masochistic dentist patient in Little Hot Shop of Horrors, the original one from like the 60s. And but so he's kind of legendary in producing like really campy movies. But he made a Fantastic Four movie, which I think was the result of whoever was producing it not wanting to lose the copyright to Fantastic Four. So they just kind of threw something together to prove they were using the property and therefore not losing the copyright. And I haven't seen it, but it is legendarily not good, but also not as bad as you think, is what I hear.
Okay.
But it's just like really low production value, but actually pretty decent, like a surprisingly decent Thing costume. And but yeah, there was also a Fantastic Four cartoon in the 90s that's on Disney Plus. You can watch that.
I think the article that I saw was something about, it was two 70s Marvel movies.
Probably the Captain America movie, and
one was the Captain America,
where he just had a motorcycle helmet and drove around.
And like when the Spidey movies, did they come on in the 70s or the 80s? Early 80s.
I think there was wasn't there a Spider-Man live action TV series that
I can't remember.
I
just remember like the one with the I used to always think it was awesome because they were Spider-Man. But just watching like the Spider-Man movies, like whenever like Sunday, like in Baltimore, they used to always come like Sundays, they were like these awesome movies that would come on sometimes. And I used to love like coming home from church and like watching turning the television on and like, oh shit, Spider-Man on. And I'm like watching the dude's bell-bottom pants and like this weird poofy kind of hair and his camera going around, and then the whole like spider suit, you could tell was like I could tell, but it didn't make a difference to me. But just how cheesy the costume looked and like him doing like the wall crawl and stuff was, I was like, man, this is I love this. This Spider-Man movies on television. That was just amazing to me.
It might have been TV movie. Yeah, it's just amazing like how often they tried to do superhero movies in the past, but they couldn't. They just did not have the technology, and it they tried. Like Superman was the first 1979 Superman was the best they could do, and when that did just passably enough to look, it kind of looks like he's flying. Everyone went nuts for that movie.
Right.
Like, oh, finally, we could do superhero movies, and then not as much.
Then we got that awesome Captain America movie.
There's a viral video that
Strange. It was Dr. Strange from 1978.
Oh yeah.
I
don't know much about that either. But I do know that there was like there's a viral video somewhere where like they took the audio from the Avengers trailer and made it what if the Avengers movie was made in the 70s. Yes. So they used all the footage from like Lou Ferrigno Hulk and his TV movie with Thor, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that thing.
Yeah, that's fun business. But we're so that was your general opinion, Joe, is that it was okay, but you didn't like the.
Yeah, I really liked Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. I was amazed at how good and how different he was from Captain America. I was just like, wow, he does this really well, and I thought he did Captain America really well. I think Jessica Alba was just, I don't know, she's too pretty or something. Like, I don't know, something. I don't know.
Said no man ever.
Right.
Yeah, I want her to be
too pretty.
I want her to be less attractive. I don't know why.
There's a slightly wooden quality to her where she's. I mean, that was kind of the knock on her. Like
she's kind of damn. She ends up being. It makes the thing damselly, if I can say that sometimes.
I think,
but I just think of an Invisible Woman as older too for some reason. I don't know why.
because that's kind of how she's often portrayed, as sort of like the maternal figure in that family dynamic, even though
and
she's
then also the fact that, like, they give Reed the little side pieces on it by his ear, like little gray, kind of like gray, so it makes him seem somewhat older. So maybe it was kind of weird for you to have him beside Jessica Alba, and they're getting married, but he looks like he could be like her dad kind of thing.
Well, in the first one, if you had watched the first one, those gray temples were the result of the cosmic rays as well.
Right.
It was not that he was older; it was that he was.
I get that, but he's still, like, even when he was in the club at the bachelor party kind of vibe, he still came to me. He still came off kind of old daddish.
Well, and I think that's what they do. Those two didn't match for me. Like, she's super hot and young, and he's
Well, he's one of the greatest minds in the world.
He should have been played by. It should have been. What's the guy's name? Michael Gross. And she should have been Meredith Bernie.
It did. Michael J. Fox should have been Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm, yeah. No, because Tom Hanks, if you remember, was Meredith Bernie's brother on
Family Ties.
Yeah, okay.
He would be Johnny Storm.
But Tom Hanks was her alcoholic brother, right?
And that beat up Michael J. Fox. Might be the cause of his Parkinson's. We don't know.
Probably not.
Something is wrong with you.
There's plenty wrong with Joe.
Anyway, I did like it. I was glad Art made us watch it. I don't remember seeing that before, but I did feel like the story was a little bit, a little bit. It's like those shows on the CW. Like, it's kind of like a CW show movie.
I think if it was made, I feel like it probably would fit in with those shows if the CW did Marvel shows. It probably would somewhat fit along those lines.
But the action is good. I mean, it's a lot of it. The the CGI, whatever, is pretty Marvel Cinematic Universe-ish for me.
And I like that.
For around that time, yeah. It fit in with like Thor and Iron Man and the Hulk.
I like that they focused on the teamwork. There was always like each person had a role to play, as opposed to, which is a big thing on Fantastic Four, is that they're a team. They're not really solo. Like, especially with like the whole threat in this. Oh, are we going to break up over this?
Right.
And they work best together. Complementing each other. That is pretty cool.
This was cool. Although I did question during that bachelor party thing, like, how did his shirt stretch and then go right back?
Unstable molecules. That's how they sort of do it. I'm sure he's invented regular clothing.
But then I guess maybe Joe looking at like how did his shirt stretch? But then when the thing has on regular clothes and the thing goes from Vic Mackey to the thing, how like his clothes was always shredding, but then Mr. Fantastic for some reason his clothes was always made out of unstable molecules.
I get it if he's wearing his costume, his superhero costume, but he was just wearing a dress shirt.
Special dress shirt he probably invented. So that would specifically designed for him, that would stretch along with him.
I guess
he's very smart.
This was not based on a true story.
None of them are, Joe.
But I guess it's one of those things but you also have to like Anderson, you have to realize that they have specially made costumes. So like how when Invisible Woman had Johnny Storm's powers, when she lost him, how she ended up naked, which is kind of like a callback to the first one, right, Andy?
Yeah.
So it's it's almost like their costumes are specific to them. So it's like for her to turn in a fire with, she had on regular clothes. Yeah, she had on regular clothes, right?
Yeah.
So it would burn up anyway, because she's not Johnny, and like Johnny's costumes and stuff are. Well, I guess his clothes too, because like at one point where like you're like, this is what did he say? It wasn't Armani, was it? What was the suit he had on?
Dolce.
Hey, like, this is Dolce. And he does the flame on. And then he flies away. But then when he gets stopped, all of a sudden now he has him in his suit. So was he Spider-Man, Superman under his suit?
Apparently so.
Like,
yeah, so why isn't
and the boots? He had the boots on too. That was like oh, those are some rugged boots to be wearing with a Dolce suit tux.
Yeah.
Because they say, well, you know, if Invisible Woman has to be naked to be invisible, why wouldn't Johnny Storm be naked after he burns up all his clothes?
Well, he was in the first one. There was when he first discovered his power, he started flying, and then he landed in like a.
And was that Chris Evans in the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, they were too. There's two of these.
Joe, these moments right here are you know, mutating. You know, your inner nerd is coming out because you're noticing things like this, and it's kind of like getting to you like, well, why did this happen? How is that possible? That's your inner nerd starting to seep out of your ooze. I mean, your ooze. Starting to ooze out of your pores.
No, you got it right. He was seeping out of his own ooze, which is generally how he exists. He's just a big bag of ooze.
Well, is Johnny Storm's wiener on fire when he becomes fire?
No, we're not going there. No.
Well, you heard his girlfriend say she needs fireproof lingerie and a lot of aloe.
See, no.
She gets burned. That's gotta be painful.
Wow. Yeah, well, I don't know.
Like his hair, like, you know, doesn't he have a little facial hair? Does he have facial hair?
Well,
no.
Even I was also thinking about Joe when Johnny had the thing with him. Then he was like, "So how do you guys, you know?" And it was just like the whole like the one of the very first convos we had were like about the Hulk fucking and shit like that.
He asked the thing, how does he do that? That's personal.
Right.
Yeah.
I like Joe would love this part.
Well, and one of the things should have asked him back is like, how do you do it with your hot wiener? Well, I guess he did. Didn't he? Or not?
With your hot wiener. He can flame off. That's very easy.
I like how you get blatantly
he had control over his
this
flame.
combo.
So yeah.
I'm sorry, that TBJ. That's you're breaking up a little bit, so we can more easily ignore the fact that you're trying to get us to not talk about stuff.
Oh, you heard that part though. You heard that part.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I know.
And you know, I won't mention the scene in Kevin Smith's Mallrats where Jason Lee's character meets Stan Lee, and all he does is ask about superhero genitalia. And
that's all he should ever talk about.
Right. But anyway, Silver Surfer also had his own cartoon in the 90s that's available on Disney Plus. It only lasted one season.
Was it good?
It was a weird cartoon, which is kind of what Marvel Cosmic stuff is often about. And that's like a Fantastic Four deals with weird shit a lot. Like weird science gone wrong and monsters and crazy things. Whereas, you know, a lot of superhero stuff deals with more real world situations. The Fantastic Four is often about, you know, fantasy. Mm-hmm. Like their first issue, they're fighting a giant green mole monster and the Mole Man, who lives underground and has a little underground city of moloids, little golem people. It's the thing with the Fantastic Four is they're a lot more of the fun whiz bang of comics than they are about, you know, dark secrets and inner tragedy.
They get later on. They get like, I mean, like when Johnny dies and like the whole him being resurrected by Annihilus and shit like that. Like they get kind of dark, especially when they transition to kind of like from Fantastic Four to like Future Foundation, and they like super expand and have like all these different people coming in, and then you also have like the few times when they were replaced by like, you know, like when She-Hulk was a part of them, and who else? Spider-Man. So they
Luke Cage.
Yeah, they kind of transition, but then they always tend to come back to that whole. It's weird because they're like, you know, family is big with the Fantastic Four, so it always comes back to kind of being like this family wholesome kind of like, we're going to go on adventures together. It's like the Brady Bunch of Marvel. It's basically what they always end up becoming.
Yeah, I mean, and
he brings back the weird analogies.
Fantastic Four. I remember being as a kid having coloring books of the Fantastic Four, and I always thought they were cool. But a good friend of mine, Harry Bauer, huge Fantastic Four fan, and he's got a YouTube channel. You got to just look him up by Harry Bauer, and he does Marvel fan film, Fantastic Four audio comics. So he takes comics and he hires his friends to do voiceovers for all the comics, and he goes through each comic and takes out the thought balloons and the speaking, and then like photoshops those out and then films them with people's audio. And my wife and I guested on one of them to do one of the commercials that's in there, like a fruit pie commercial. I don't know if that's out yet, but he's got several of them, and they're kind of cool to watch. They're really well done. Just look up Harry Bauer, Bauer, and also there's something else I was going to mention about. Oh, Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU, right? That's confirmed.
Yeah.
We don't know when, how, or who, but they've hinted at it heavily, and it has to.
They're probably Phase 5.
They're saying 2023. Because I just saw an article today. They said probably 2023, but they haven't cast it yet. But
well, also they've been there's a lot of weird chatter going on. Like they're talking about how like a lot of these movies and shows might get delayed again because the surges or whatever. So
the Delta variant. Yeah, I guess
it's like
I read the fans are asking for Jim from The Office and his wife.
Like one guy did a really good Photoshop of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. That's Reed and Sue Storm, they're married in real life.
Yes.
Put them in like a really good Photoshop of that, and now nerds are freaking obsessed with that. And I think they don't have to.
Well, they've been doing a lot of photoshopping with Wolverine lately. Like you're saying, like, oh, this person would be perfect. Let's just see what he would look like as Wolverine. Let's put this costume on that person and see what they look like.
But they keep sort of implying, like with the multiverse thing that's exploded, we're going to explore some more with What If, the next Marvel animated series that starts August 11th on Disney Plus.
Tomorrow, as we're recording this.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, today's Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Wednesday is the new Friday, which was Loki's thing. All right, that'll be interesting too.
But watching that and then record more episodes.
I think the multiverse thing is how they're going to, like, they've been talking about doing Deadpool 3. Deadpool is very meta and breaks the fourth wall a lot. And something happened on social media recently where Hugh Jackman was teasing a possible sort of return to Wolverine, which he wasn't going to do after Logan, which is a movie we should watch and talk about that at some point. But but he might do something, because this would be the time to do it, to establish the X-Men Fox universe as just another alternate reality. And if everything sort of eventually is reknitted into a single timeline again, which I'm guessing Doctor Strange is going to try to do in his movie, what is going to carry over from the other universes that are going to be in the new MCU after that? And
that's one thing that I think they could probably borrow from DC. And like DC did a really good job with their CW shows crossovers, where they brought in all the other properties and shows and movies from different companies into one. So you made it like, okay, well, the Titans are a part of a different Earth. Batman 89, different Earth. You're just having like all these different movies and shows that DC has being a part of the same universe on a CW show, even though they don't deal with them anymore. But the fact that all of the worlds converged into one, and they created their own little Justice League, which they haven't dealt with anymore. But it's like just putting all of those, it's like, okay, well, even the Justice League movies, like the Flash showed up in the Crisis thing.
You got that right. Yep, and we are out of time. We got less than 1 minute in the Zoom.
say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improved.
Listen, people can make fun of me for my holiday movies all we want to, but I'm like, are you alive? Did I fuss at you today? Did I yell about anything? All right, then. You're welcome. You better thank Hallmark for keeping me safe.